didn't want to take your sign-up sheet away and you wanted to sign up. Yes, sir. She's going to be absent.
All righty, folks. Good evening. I am now calling the Wednesday, February 15th meeting of the Town of Farmville Planning Commission to order. Welcome to those of you in the room with us tonight, and thank you to those that are joining us online. We've got a bit of items for deliberation, and we will jump right in. So we will ask now for a roll call vote, or roll call.
Mr. Patterson?
Present.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Davenport? Here. Dr. Miller? Ms. O'Connor? Mr. Weiss?
Here.
Mr. Crute?
Here.
Thank you. We now will ask for an approval of the agenda that is before you. If there are any changes to that, please share. If not, we'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve as presented.
A second.
All righty, it's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Our first set of minutes for consideration and adoption are from the regular Planning Commission meeting held on January 18th, 2023. Those minutes are before you in draft form. Having had a chance to review them, if there are any additions or corrections, please do share, but would love a motion to adopt.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to adopt the minutes, but with a clarification,
Perfect.
which I'd like to explain.
Please.
This is in the section on page 2 of 4 under the public hearing, where there was a sentence that said that Mr. Coffey offered to field questions from the commissioners. I'd just like to clarify, we did ask questions. He didn't just offer to field questions. We asked questions, and he addressed them.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We can make that addition. Any other items? So with the changes offered, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Perfect. With the changes offered, all those in favor of adopting the minutes from the January 18th regular meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Perfect. We now have minutes from the January 25th, 2023 work session before you. If there are any additions or corrections, please do share. If not, we'll take a motion when ready.
Mr. Chairman, I have, it's my night to comment on the minutes. I have a couple of corrections
Okay.
here as well. On page 2 of 3, and this is toward the bottom, the paragraph where I realize maybe what I was saying wasn't so clear because I was connected virtually, so maybe the audio wasn't too clear. but there are three words that I think are incorrect. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down in the paragraph that starts, Mr. Weiss shared, blah, blah, blah. It says there would be a lot of resonances. I think that word's supposed to be expenses, not resonances. And Michelle, can you see where I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I think resonances is supposed to be expenses. And then 4 more lines down from that, almost directly below it, the word physical should be fiscal. And then about 6 lines down, second line from the bottom of that paragraph, the word rather should be whether. Whether like whether or not whether outside.
Could you clarify again, please?
Which one? The one I just said? Second line from the bottom of that paragraph, second to last line in that paragraph. He questioned rather should be whether, W-H-E-T-H-E-R.
Thank you for that, sir.
Sure.
Any other items regarding the minutes? If not, we'll take that motion when ready.
I'll move
With
to
the
approve.
changes.
I'll
Yep.
move to approve with those changes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. It's been motioned and second to approve the minutes from the January 25th, 2023 work session with the changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes carry it. Thank you very much. Now we will move into the public participation portion of our meeting. If there is anyone that cares to speak, you would have 3 minutes to make statements on non-agenda items. So I will turn to see if anyone has signed up.
No, sir.
Excellent. Members of the public, if you do care, you're welcomed with that opportunity. If not, you'll have the opportunity related to your public hearing case. Wonderful. Moving forward, we will now take a look at public hearing case POD 22-004. David and Amy Huffcutt request site plan approval for a 30 by 35 1,050 square foot specialty food store ice cream per town code section 23-E.2 and 29-13.E.4.E. The 0.505 acre site is located at the east line of East 3rd Street at its intersection with Highland Avenue on parcel 0023A09 2000-012. This property is Zone B2 Transitional Commercial and is on public water and sewer. So we will have a staff report followed by public participation, followed by the commission's deliberation. Turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This is a relatively simple site plan. As you had mentioned in reading the caption, this is a 30 by 35 foot structure, but only 12 feet by 35 feet of it is going to be quote unquote enclosed for an employee and I say prep area, but really since they're selling ice cream, it's going to be more of the area where they're storing the ice cream and dipping it, and that's where their point of sale is going to be. There will also be a unisex bathroom there. Now, the remainder of that 30 by 35 foot structure is going to be for seating. So essentially what you have is a pavilion type structure, and as I progress through the slides, you'll see what that looks like. So again, remainder for seating. It's going to be covered but open on 3 sides. Just wanted to mention a word about authority and why that's here tonight. So the new quote-unquote new zoning ordinance that was adopted in 2020 has a provision in there that says that the planning commission will, I should say that the zoning administrator will put any commercial site plans on the planning commission agenda. So all of those code sections, Mr. Chair, that you were citing are the code sections that enable the planning commission to look at this site plan. Again, this is a relatively simple site plan. It's not complex at all. And being that as it may, you still have to deliberate on this per the town ordinance. So moving through some of the graphics, this is an aerial view. This is off of East 3rd Street, and the highlighted parcel in the middle is your subject parcel. That is just over half an acre. And as you can see, this parcel, or rather the three parcels are served by essentially a singular drive aisle that comes through the front, and that is shared access. Continuing to refer to this aerial, you'll see the tree line. The site is essentially covered by a third with trees, and along that tree line is actually a slope. So as soon as you walk into the trees, the site slopes up to the rears of the houses that front on Longwood Avenue, and that is about I'd say about maybe an 8 to 10 foot elevation change from where you see the grass up to the property line. Those trees are largely proposed to remain. Here's the site plan. It's a relatively simple site plan again. It falls under the threshold for stormwater. There will still have to be some erosion and sediment control measures taken, but stormwater is not a consideration here. So the site plan is going to be relatively simple again. 7 parking spaces are required, and they're showing that. And they're just going to connect right to the existing asphalt. You can see the required 25-foot landscape buffer to the rear that's signified by the dashed line. And because the area is already landscaped with mature trees, the applicant will receive credit for those, meaning he doesn't have to remove those only to have to plant trees back. So he'll just use the existing trees for the required buffer. And as a planning practice, that is preferable to removing trees and then planting new ones. The next couple of slides are your architecturals. So you can see from the front, it is a relatively simple structure architecturally, and again, it's fashioned more as a pavilion with a store area to the rear. Very simple floor plan. Open porch is approximately 23 by 30, and then the rear portion, the store, 12 by 30 area that's enclosed for the store's operation. Just some additional architectural details. It will be clad in red metal, and the roof will also be metal. Some side elevations here. These are images of the site. As you can see to the rear, that elevation change from where the grass is going up to the rear of the rear property line of the residences behind that front on Longwood Avenue. And you can see where the surveyor has already staked out the corners. So the corners, I believe, are in blue, and then the pink stakes indicate the side property lines. I should also mention that the side yard setback in this zoning district is 0. This is just an image for reference of the rear property corner, one of the rear property corners, so you can see that the property line extends all the way back to to the upper portion of this slope. So what you see on the left side of that is the Huff Cuts property, and then on the right side is the residential property. And this is just a view facing out to the street. So from a land use perspective, the corridor is commercial in nature, and there are no conflicts as a result of that. The staff findings, as you saw in your staff report, the standards for site plans is met. It's substantially consistent with the comprehensive plan future land use map. No significant impacts to the town's systems or the environment. And given the elevation changes and the existing landscaping, staff feels that the use poses no detriment to the neighborhood or adjacent properties. There are some additional standards that have to be met for specialty food shops, and the staff feels that those have been met as well. We did not receive any comments from the public. So with that being said, the staff recommends approval of the plan of development. We don't have any conditions to attach to that. A couple of words of guidance before I conclude my remarks, but just reiterating that bringing site plans to the Planning Commission is essentially a new requirement that was passed in 2020 with the adoption of the zoning ordinance. To my knowledge, this is the first time that the Planning Commission has actually done this. So what I would suggest, given that this is a simple site, that we ease into the review and decision process, and just certainly know that more complex site plans will follow, where you may be justified in asking for, additional features, architectural, landscaping, lighting, what have you. So with that being said, this concludes the staff's report. I will also mention that David and Amy Huffcutt are here tonight to represent their application, should you have any questions for them. But that's all we have from the staff.
All righty. Commissioners, having heard the staff report, any questions for Mr. Pambit?
I have a couple, please, Mr. Pambit. This is a by right use, right? So if the applicants, for example, wanted to sell something in addition to ice cream that didn't require cooking, they could do that. That's not at issue tonight, right? It's just the site plan.
That's
not the
correct.
use.
Well, first of all, you're correct. This is a by right use. There is going to be a little bit of confusion as to why are we here before the Planning Commission if this is a quote-unquote by right use. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a public hearing. I would say that this is not I'm using a double negative here, but this is not a discretionary action here. So this does not rise to the level of a rezoning or a conditional use permit or something of that sort. So what I mean by that is if it complies, excuse me, if it complies with the ordinance, then we're obligated to approve it. Now, with the second part of your question regarding regarding cooking, so let me go into the staff report here and just kind of read into the record what those performance standards are, if you will. Number one, all odors must be contained within the establishment, and specialized equipment may be required to contain the odors. Number two, it does not involve quote-unquote cooking, but the application of heat by microwave or the boiling of water for beverages shall not be considered cooking for purposes of this definition. And number three, no open flame heat sources used. So to answer your question, if they're using microwaves and they're just boiling water, then they're not cooking. Given that it's ice cream, they won't be doing any of that. There's not going to be any odors emitted, so staff was comfortable with the use and its recommendation.
Any additional questions from commissioners? Do want to offer the good folks that are with us, David and Amy Huffcutt, if you care to make a remark to the commission, you're not required to, but just want to give that opportunity to you.
Well, just say thank you for your time tonight. Yeah, we're just interested in a little bit of quick history. Is grew up dairy farming, and my wife and I, we farmed on our own for 25 years. When my dad left farming, he started up an ice cream store. This is in New York, and then so he ran it for 18 years. So we moved here to Farmville after we left. We ended up in Pennsylvania, where we did the bulk of our farming. When we moved here, we just realized that there wasn't an ice cream store, and I kind of liked always worked for myself my whole life. So that's really why I was just, and I guess following a little bit in my father's footsteps. You know, it kind of makes me feel good. And, you know, and then hopefully down the road eventually, we got 6 grandkids now, so hopefully them coming on will be free help again. So, you know, and we just felt that Farmville, there really was not a place where people can take their kids to really just go get ice cream. We wanted more of a family type oriented business. We always compared my father's shop to, if any of you ever watched Cheers, but with ice cream, you know, and I feel I'm a big people person. I, you know, like communicating with people. So it's just something that we want to do. My wife and I want to do, you know, eventually together. And then see what goes from there. I just hope you guys all would hopefully approve it, and we could take the next step. So, but I do appreciate your time very much, all of you, and thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone signed up for public comment on the matter?
No, sir.
Perfect. So we are in the deliberative phase for the commission. And when the heart is so moved, would welcome a motion on the matter.
Before you move on, make sure, and maybe I wasn't listening, but make sure that you open and close the public hearing.
All righty. For the sake of good public order, we are going to open the public participation portion of this public hearing case. Is there a motion to do so?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of opening public participation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. So we are open. We'll just ask one more time for the record. Is there anyone signed up for that?
No, sir.
Wonderful. This might be the quickest open close. When the heart is compelled, would welcome a motion to close public participation.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Now we are deliberating.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question that maybe the applicant can answer about the driveway, the circular driveway that's partly on your property and continues on. Are there easements for people to basically come in either end of that circular driveway to come to your place and, you know, come and go? Or do they have to come in and out of that same part of the driveway that's on your property?
They could, you know, we're hoping that they would just really use the one end, but they could go out the other end too, if they wanted.
Or come in from that end and circle
Right,
around to
yeah,
yours?
yeah, or come in
Okay,
from the other end.
okay. But any issues, ingress and egress issues are clear about the rights to use that driveway? Okay,
Yes. Yes, it is.
very good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second?
Excellent. It's been motioned and second. All those in favor of approving public hearing case POD 22-004? Do we need a roll call? Excellent.
Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Davenport,
Aye.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Crute,
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Alrighty. The motion has been adopted. Thank you all for your participation tonight. Best of luck to you. Rocky Road and cookies and cream. My request from you.
And we will be having
To you.
Gershie's. That's the one brand that we're gonna be carrying.
And
Perfect.
coffee and peach
Yes.
as well, please.
Well, no, you really need to try cappuccino crunch.
Here you go.
That is, it's crazy good. So,
So just to put a bow on this, what I will mention is that as far as next steps are concerned, we'll have them resubmit the site plan, clean up any remaining issues, like labeling and that kind of thing. And then after that, the staff will work with them on pulling their permits. So the Planning Commission is done with this case. This does not advance to the town council, but it is now in the staff's hands to move it forward.
Cool. Thank you.
I want to thank you all very much for your time. Lee, thank you. Thank you. Yep. Have a good weekend coming up.
You as well. So next, we move into adoption of the resolution to initiate the floodplain ordinance amendments, ZTA 23-001 and 002. The resolution is before you in your packet. Would welcome the motion to begin that process.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and second. Ms. Watkins, do we need a roll call on this? Perfect.
Mr. Patterson,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Davenport,
Aye.
Dr. Miller, Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Weiss,
Aye.
Mr. Crute.
Aye.
Alrighty, the resolution has been adopted. Item 9, public hearing case ZTA 23-001. Public hearing case ZTA 23-001. Public hearing for Planning Commission recommendation to Town Council to amend Section 29-23A of the Floodplain Overlay District. The purpose of this amendment is to comply with certain requirements of the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the National Flood Insurance Program. We will have a staff report, followed by public participation, followed by the Planning Commission deliberation. Mr. Pambit?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The caption pretty much says it all, and we've been discussing this over the past couple of months and just trying to frame this in such a manner that we're really trying to comply with the higher powers here so that we can remain in good standing, primarily with the National Flood Insurance Program. But the other agencies reviewed our ordinances and came up with some amendments that we needed to make. Ashley and I have been really tag teaming this floodplain overlay district issue, and in doing so, we've also been attending many meetings with the state. We've been attending training since the summer, really, but Ashley is going to provide a little bit of a report as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Ashley so that she can make a few remarks, and then we'll turn it back over to the commission for their deliberation.
Good evening. In the staff report, you will find that the Federal Emergency Management Agency released proposed flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance studies in April of 2021. These items were put on display for public review and comment beginning in February of 2022. Since that date, there were no, to my knowledge, public comments, so the proposed firm and FIS will become effective on April 19th, 2023. We have been coordinating with the Department of Conservation and Recreation to amend the language in our ordinance to bring the floodplain overlay district into compliance with FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program, the NFIP. Do you have any questions at this time on the proposed ordinance?
Ashley, I do, please. Just the posture of this is, part of the ordinance is in front of us tonight, right? And then the definitions we'll see next month. Was
Yes,
there
sir.
a reason to separate, or it was just a matter of just trying to get the definitions done?
Just trying to get it all completed.
Okay, gotcha. But the two have to happen.
The two have to happen before the April 19th, 2023 date.
Gotcha.
Before the maps become effective.
Any additional questions regarding the staff report?
Yeah, I think it's the appropriate time to ask. So I know it's been referenced a few times with some of it was off-the-shelf text that was just provided by the different agencies that were reviewing. Was there any input from the town that was really changing any of that, or a lot of it was basically just where does it need to be added in here in the appropriate place?
It was all mandated to us, what needed to be changed. The only thing we did go above was the freeboard. It was 1 foot. They recommended 18 inches. We ended up going with 2 feet to be built above the base flood elevation.
And so to Jerry's question, the red font text in the packet is all the required new text.
Amendments.
And basically from on high, this is what it has to
It
say,
came
other
from
than the
it
1
came
foot, 2 foot.
Word for word from their model ordinance.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go forth and open public participation. So if there is a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second?
It has been moved and second that we open public participation. All those in favor of doing so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes carry it. Any public participation on the flood zone ordinance?
No, sir.
Alrighty. Is there a motion to close public participation?
I move that we close public participation.
Second.
It has been moved and second to close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. So we will now deliberate. If there are any additional questions, please or do raise them. If not, when you're ready, we'll welcome a motion on the matter.
I move that we, do you want the specific wording? That was the recommend approval of the proposed ordinance text amendments listed in the attachment 1 of the packet.
Second.
It has been moved and second. And we'll now take a roll call vote.
Ms. O'Connor? Mr. Weiss?
Yes?
Ms. Johnson? Mr. Davenport?
Aye.
Mr. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Crute?
Aye.
Dr. Miller?
Perfect. It has been adopted. Based on our agenda, we do not have any old business items. And so we will move into new business with a department update and upcoming major cases. And we'll take it from there.
So your, the customary department report is in your packet, and even with my departure, that is basically going to be the format. If you have any questions about that information, certainly let me or the staff know. But what we try to do is we try to show you what the department has been doing for the past month, and some of the statistics. I think I fumble that word every month, but the statistics of our permitting, fuel sales, arrivals and departures at the airport, mass transit usage, and that kind of thing. So we will continue to do that at the town manager's direction. Moving on, the Board of Zoning Appeals will meet on Thursday, next Thursday, to hear a variance. One of the things that they will also hear from staff is a recommendation to review and amend the setbacks in the residential districts. So as Ashley and I have been fielding inquiries, this is kind of how we've responded to the requests that we've been getting with the signage. So we recommended changes to the sign requirements. We're experiencing some of that same with the setbacks, particularly in the R3. So what the BZA will be hearing is a front yard variance of 16 feet from a 35-foot required setback. And that report will go out to the to the BZA tomorrow. We presented an information session on how to apply for routine residential projects on Friday, January 27th. And if you recall, we had presented something back in May of 2022, and this is something that that will continue. And we have actually gotten a lot of good response from the applicants. And we've got a whole list of things that we could potentially present on, but the participants really seem to like these. Getting out in front of the staff and being able to interact in an environment where we can do a lot of question and answer and just explain things on a more intimate level, as opposed to, having to find out what their questions are after they have submitted a permit or after they have come up with a project. So we'll continue to do those. As mentioned in the memo with the packet, we did present a second plan unit development information session this past Monday at the Moat Museum. We had a lot of participants. We did several things differently than from the first one in terms of getting the word out. So we took out radio spots, not radio spots, but we had them mention that in their community calendar, the newspaper calendar, social media, of course, the website. We notified the Chamber of Commerce, and then we, above all, we actually had time to put something in the water and sewer bill. So we had a lot of people come out. It was almost an entirely different set of people from the first session, so that is definitely a positive. And I think that that's how the Community Development Department will advertise its future sessions, whether it be our routine residential projects type information sessions or something more specific to ordinance amendment or community meeting or something like that. So earlier tonight, Michelle sent you the slide deck as well as the very, very rough draft notes, and we still have another set of notes to provide you, but we wanted to get that information to you as quickly as possible. So you'll get something more refined later in the next few days. So, excuse me. With that being said, Wednesday, March 15th, staff is recommending that you have a planning commission meeting. Of course, we have the second half of the zoning text amendment for the floodplain changes, where you'll be talking specifically about the definitions. There are no other major cases that have been applied for, so no rezonings, conditional use permits, or anything like that. And since tonight we had a fair amount of business, the plan unit development discussion was not on tonight's agenda. However, you should have some time to talk about that in March. Now, with that being said, there was a consensus at the work session that maybe there should be an information session in March. We have talked, Ashley and I have talked with Scott, and since I won't be here to run that, he will be available the last week of March to do that. So if that is something that the Planning Commission would like the staff to go ahead and do, you know, we can certainly do that. Scott will be available that whole week except for Wednesday, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of that last week of March. And I see a lot of nods, so we'll go ahead and spin that up for the last week of March, and we'll have a third session. Finally, just want to mention a couple of words about the Community Development Department transition. After I leave, Ashley will be the interim director, and I will continue to support the plan unit development discussion from the Eastern Shore. Scott and I, again, I think I might have mentioned this previously, but we do have an agreement where I will continue to write the reports. The last time the Planning Commission met on this, there was a consensus that it wanted to see a draft, so I will be producing that draft prior to not the March 15th meeting, but the information session. So that'll give me some time to pull back from here, get settled on the Eastern Shore, and then put pencil to paper there. And that model, that language, there's no obligation, but I think that the Planning Commission just wanted to see what something would look like. So, of course, that can be tweaked, but again, just a couple of words about transition. So, other than that, this concludes my remarks on everything. Just wanted to say that it's been a privilege to work with the Farmville Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Town Council, as well as the staff. I can't say enough about the staff over the past year. Think that we've really established an identity for the department and some much needed changes. So I leave regretfully. I did mention that in my resignation letter to Scott, because life in Farmville truly is special, and I think that that's not something that we should take for granted, just how fine life is here. And trading that for complete unknowns on the Eastern Shore is kind of nerve-wracking, quite frankly, but I'm looking forward to my time there as well.
Thank you for everything you've done here.
Yeah. Cheers to the Eastern Shore, and may rising sea levels not sweep you away. But I do have something to share on behalf of the Farmville Planning Commission in recognition of your service. It is a plaque with a lovely photo of the skyline of the town of Farmville. And it just simply says, Lee Pambit, with gratitude for your service to our community, from the Planning Commission of Farmville, Virginia. So thank you very much. Maybe if everybody comes in for a group photo. closer to.
You want us down there?
Yeah. What we could do here.
I gotta hold it up because of the chair, right?
Couple more, I'm gonna stand back here and zoom in.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
For a moment there, I was gonna grab it back. Forgot it was not mine. Again, thank you for your service. I think the department is in a stronger place because of your efforts. And thank you for putting a good team together and investing in the staff. And Ashley, we know things will be in good hands with your stewardship. We still got Michelle, so we'll keep on keeping on. So thank you. Alrighty, any additional comments from members of the commission before we adjourn?
Yeah, I'd like to personally thank you, Lee, for your professional, thorough, fair, honest, transparent. There's a lot of words I could use to describe you, but the first time you were here, I was like, man, this guy knows his stuff. And man, I really do think we're losing a good member of the staff here, and look forward to, I wish you well, but kind of selfishly disappointed. I wish you'd stay for a little while, but I know there's some important things you recognized, and we're moving forward. So thank you a lot for what you did for here while you were here. So.
I second those comments.
If there are no other comments, we would welcome a motion to approve, to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Just real quick, go Lancers.
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.